two princes disappeared in Tower. The year is 1483. London is a city gripped by uncertainty. King Edward IV, a charismatic and powerful ruler, is dead. His young son, Edward V, is but 12 years old, and the crown now rests precariously upon his head. The boy king journeys to London for his coronation, accompanied by his uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester. But Richard, a man of renowned military prowess and cunning, has been appointed Lord Protector, effectively ruling the kingdom until Edward comes of age. Whispers of discontent begin to circulate, fueled by anxieties over the young king's ability to govern and the ambition that glints in the eyes of his uncle. Already, a sense of unease hangs heavy in the air, a premonition of the dark events that are about to unfold within the ancient walls of the Tower of London. Richard shrewdly separates Edward from his younger brother, Richard of Shrewsbury, Duke of York, who at the tender age of 9 is taken to join his brother in the Tower. Ostensibly, this is for their protection, a secure residence befitting their royal status as preparations for the coronation proceed. The Tower, a formidable fortress, has served as a royal palace, a prison, and a treasury throughout its history. Yet behind its imposing facade, intrigues fester and conspiracies are hatched. The two young princes, so close in age and affection, find themselves increasingly isolated, their contact with the outside world carefully controlled by their uncle, the Lord Protector. The very walls seem to close in, whispering secrets of past betrayals and impending doom. As the days turn into weeks, the coronation is postponed, then postponed again. Richard, Duke of Gloucester, skillfully manipulates the political landscape, sowing seeds of doubt about the legitimacy of Edward IV's marriage to Elizabeth Woodville, and consequently, the legitimacy of his children. Rumors spread like wildfire, fueled by Richard's loyal supporters, questioning the prince's right to the throne. The atmosphere in London grows increasingly tense, with factions forming and alliances shifting. Publicly, Richard projects an image of solemn duty, claiming to act solely in the best interests of the realm. But beneath the surface, a ruthless ambition burns, threatening to consume everything in its path. Suddenly, a bombshell explodes. Bishop Robert Stillington of Bath and Wells publicly declares that Edward IV had been precontracted to marry another woman before his union with Elizabeth Woodville, rendering his marriage invalid and his children illegitimate. This revelation, whether true or fabricated, strikes at the very heart of the prince's claim to the throne. Parliament, swayed by Richard's influence, and perhaps motivated by fear, petitions Richard to assume the crown. With feigned reluctance, he accepts, becoming King Richard III. The Tower, once intended as a preparation ground for Edward's coronation, now becomes a prison for the deposed princes. With Richard crowned king, Edward and Richard become an inconvenient obstacle to his reign. The princes vanish from public view. The once frequent sightings of the boys playing in the Tower gardens cease abruptly. Their loyal attendants are dismissed, replaced by men who owe their allegiance solely to the king. Questions are asked, but answers are evasive, shrouded in carefully crafted pronouncements of the prince's well-being. But as time passes, and the young royals remain unseen, a chilling realization dawns upon the people of England. The princes are gone. The mystery of their disappearance ignites a wave of speculation and suspicion. Rumors abound, ranging from natural elaborate escape plots orchestrated by loyalists, but the most persistent and damning whispers point directly to Richard III. Was he, driven by a thirst for power, responsible for the deaths of his nephews? The idea seems almost too monstrous to contemplate, yet the circumstances surrounding their disappearance paint a grim picture. The Tower, a place of imprisonment and execution, holds its secrets close, refusing to yield the truth. The reign of Richard III is marked by unrest and rebellion. His actions, particularly the disappearance of the princes, cast a dark shadow over his rule. Doubts about his legitimacy and the ruthlessness he displayed in seizing the throne fuel opposition to his kingship. In 1485, Henry Tudor, a distant relative of the royal family with a tenuous claim to the throne, lands in England, challenging Richard for the crown. The stage is set for a decisive battle that will determine the fate of the kingdom and potentially reveal the truth about the missing princes. The Battle of Bosworth Field is a clash of armies and a collision of destinies. Richard III, a seasoned warrior, fights with ferocious courage, but he is ultimately defeated and killed. Henry Tudor emerges victorious, becoming King Henry VII, the first monarch of the Tudor dynasty. With Richard dead, the opportunity arises to investigate the mystery of the princes in the Tower. But Henry also stands to gain from the ambiguity surrounding their fate. Henry VII, eager to consolidate his power and unite the warring factions of York and Lancaster, marries Elizabeth of York, the eldest daughter of Edward IV and sister to the missing princes. This union symbolizes the end of the Wars of the Roses and the beginning of a new era. Yet, the mystery of the princes remains unsolved, a haunting reminder of the violence and treachery that characterized the previous reign. Henry, wary of potential Yorkist claimants to the throne, does little to actively pursue the investigation. The truth, it seems, is a dangerous thing, best left buried. Years later, during the reign of Henry VII, Perkin Warbeck emerges, claiming to be Richard of Shrewsbury, the younger of the two princes. Warbeck's claim gains traction, particularly in Ireland and Scotland, where he receives support from those who oppose Henry's rule. Is he truly the lost prince, miraculously escaped from the Tower? Or is he an impostor, a pawn in a larger game of political intrigue? Henry VII is deeply threatened by Warbeck's challenge and dedicates significant resources to discrediting him. Henry VII eventually captures Perkin Warbeck and imprisons him in the Tower of London. While incarcerated, Warbeck allegedly confesses to being an impostor, recanting his claim to be Prince Richard. He is later executed, along with the Earl of Warwick, another potential Yorkist claimant. The execution of Warbeck seemingly puts an end to the Yorkist threat, but it also silences one of the few voices claiming to know the fate of the princes. The Tower once again claims its victims, further shrouding the mystery in darkness. Centuries pass, and the mystery of the princes in the Tower continues to fascinate and intrigue. In 1674, during renovations of the Tower, workmen discover a wooden chest containing the skeletons of two children. The bones are widely believed to be those of the missing princes, though conclusive proof remains elusive. King Charles II orders the bones to be interred in Westminster Abbey, a symbolic gesture that acknowledges the tragedy, but does little to solve the enigma. Modern forensic science has attempted to shed light on the identity of the remains found in the Tower. due to the incomplete nature of the skeletons and the lack of reliable comparative DNA, it has been impossible to definitively confirm whether they belong to the princes. The bones remain in Westminster Abbey, silent witnesses to a mystery that has captivated generations. The scientific attempts to solve the crime stall and further frustrate those seeking closure. The question of who murdered the princes remains open for debate. While Richard III is the most frequently cited suspect, other possibilities have been suggested. Could Henry Stafford, Duke of Buckingham, a close ally of Richard who later rebelled against him, have been involved? Or perhaps Henry VII himself, after seizing the throne, sought to eliminate any potential rivals. The truth may never be known with absolute certainty. The disappearance of the princes in the Tower has become one of the most enduring mysteries in English history. It has inspired countless books, plays, and films, each offering its own interpretation of the events. The story serves as a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of power, the dangers of ambition, and the fragility of innocence. The mystery haunts the legacy of the English monarchy forever.